Hello and welcome to this fifth session of Delta Green. This is Divergence. We are playing with a Gumshoe variant. We're playing a modern game. We are in our second case, and last time we did a little bit of the setup of the between missions events. With each of our players, we have a player who missed last time, so we're going to work with them first, and then we'll bring them in on the case as it stands now. Give everybody a chance to kind of summarize what's known. Though there's been some discussion off game that has pulled together some of the details, and of course we've got a board and such, some notes that are out there. So, how much stability, Jim, were you down at the end of the last session?
I was down to 2. So I went on the premise that it was for every point. Actually, no, I think I was on 3. So I had a 3 bond, which I'd reduced down to 2, a 2 and a 1. So I upped it by 5.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, it was at 2. I then spent a point in stability and experience. So that raised the total and clearly the bottom to 8.
Okay.
But I do need to do a scene to recover my my 2 of 3 back up to 3. And I take it that will increase I think by what I read, it will raise the stability by 1 more. So I'll always be 1 down. I haven't got enough bonds to recover it totally.
So we can do the sort of because that's with Gene. We'll do that scene, when you get onto the case again. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. But like when you go back to Chicago, what is your story? Like, what are you telling people about where you went? I mean, who is there to tell, really?
Well, I think there's sort of 2 groups I need to tell. There's clearly the organisation I work for, the DEA, and with them I'm going to play the deep undercover.
Okay.
Yeah. So deep, you can't find me.
And one would assume that depending on the organization and that it's easier or harder for you to kind of get that paperwork a little bit messy, but I think that's certainly possible. What are you doing with whatever documents you took from the farmhouse?
I think I'm going to. I'd like to put them in a safe deposit box, but that's not my character's style. So I think I'm going to leave them in an envelope, sealed, and give them to the Black Disciples.
Okay.
My street gang that I'm affiliated with, and tell the gang leader that this needs to stay hidden. Yeah, this is not gang related. It's not drug related, but this is some serious shit. This could get you killed. This could get the gang killed. This could get me killed. But I trust you. You need to keep this hidden. Stash it somewhere real safe.
You've got a bond of 2.
Yeah.
So I think so long as that bond stays solid, that set of documents are safe. You will know that Delta Green procedures and practices are for hypergeometric documents, books, and things like that are to be destroyed. Like that's now general policy amongst them. That's what you've heard.
This is insurance.
It is. And a couple of days later, you get a call from one of your confidential informants who, probably not call, but essentially they do the pass the message through one of the apps coded that they want a meetup with you, at a location, and essentially they want to meet up with you at a U.S. Postal Service depository that burnt down a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
What's the name of this informant?
Doug Reiter. Luckily, this place is burnt down, so there's no chance of anybody going postal there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm feeling quite safe, so I will only don my leather jacket, my nice shiny driver's leather jacket.
And we'll kind of cut to the scene. You're armed, you're cautious, you're careful. This is after dark. You're alert to things. And there is a guy there who is most definitively not your CI, who is standing and waiting there for you. Hands outside of pockets, kind of standing more casually to make it clear that he's not got his hand on a gun or anything like that.
I think I'll go quite hard on this, and I'll shout over to this guy. Where the fuck is Doug?
Jim, what is the name of your Delta Green handler?
I think my handler is Alan Schmidty.
Alan Schmidty. And he puts his hands up and he says, "We haven't met in person. I'm Alan Schmidty. Here's our code phrase." And he gives you the first part of the code exchange to confirm identity.
I will give him the bounce back phrase, and I'll say, "You've done a dangerous thing, Alan. Now we know what each other look like. That's a dangerous move."
He says, I don't know if that's going to be an issue here coming up.
Clearly, if you need to meet in person, something serious. So what is it?
Situation in Washington is changing, and I have come under increased scrutiny. The new administration has come in and has been cleaning house, and they came in with a list, and there are some of our people on that list. I'm going to be handing you off to another handler who's safe from that.
So what's going to happen to you, Alan?
I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. I don't know how much of this is these people who come in with a kind of an anti-government philosophy and are coming in and looking for, a conspiracy, which we are, or whether this is a targeted attack.
Well, no matter where you move to, Alan, you need to stay in contact, because if things blow up, we need people like you. The guys in the ground, in the field, we need to know that there's safe people above us.
Let's hope that's possible. Your new handler's name is Zabo.
Zabo.
Yep. He will be contacting you. There's providing an additional layer. He'll use our countersign for the first contact, but then you'll need to come up with an additional set of protocols between you and him.
Understand.
If I contact you in the next 2 months, it's not me.
Okay, understand. You're going deep.
Okay.
Got it.
Says just be careful. Your new handler should have their fingers on what's going on and can dispatch you to work with the team that you worked with before.
Okay. Do you think the agency is compromised?
I don't think the agency is necessarily compromised. I think there's something else going on. I think the agency is under attack. I think old birds are coming home to roost. But I just don't know. It is chaos in Washington.
Okay. Well, yeah. No problem, Alan. I'll stay clear of Washington, that's for sure. Okay. Chicago's my place and in the field. But yeah, fine. If you speak to me in the next 2 months, I know it's not you.
Perfect.
And I'll stretch out my hand. Okay. It's been good working with you.
And he will reach out his hand to shake your hand.
Okay.
And he will turn to you and he will say, "This was a Delta Green drop house."
Okay.
Chicago isn't immune.
Okay. Yeah. Fair point. Fair point, Alan.
And he will walk away off to a vehicle parked a ways away. And like maybe, within a few minutes, you'll get the transmit on the current case. And essentially that the others have been dispatched and are on scene, and you are asked to join them on scene.
Okay. And I think the last thing you're going to see of Jim in this scene is as that car's pulling away, you see Jim pulling off his black leather glove and dropping it into an evidence bag, the one that he shook Alan Schmidt's hand, and then it going on his inside pocket.
Absolutely. And so we will cut to, this is, let's say, late in the day of that first day of investigation. Agent Oliver, Javi, Evans, you having done some legwork, having talked to our cop friend, having checked out the forensics on the bodies and so on. And in the evening, back at this office that you've been provided, and you've gotten a heads up that Williams is inbound. And so what I'd like to do is kind of like the scene is now the four of you, and like the basics have been transmitted to Williams about what's been going on and that discussion. So let's kind of take up with that, where if there are details like what you want to establish an operating plan, what questions are outstanding, that kind of thing.
Well, Marcus Evans is as excited as all hell. Yeah, this is a real thing. We have real, self-combustion, very unusual circumstances, no way to explain it in terms of peripheral damage to the site. And this was an intense heat. This is more than some kind of phosphorus or napalm thing. This is enough to carbonize and crumble, consume bone. That is a level of temperature that is going to take a room up, not leave a scorch mark on the floor.
I didn't have spontaneous human combustion on the list of things I thought were real.
Well, I've been updating my list of those things a lot recently, Gene, and I just added a real cracker. I put that aside from the fact that these guys have got I want to say sigil, occult marking carved into them.
Rajavi, do you think there might be some link with the linguistics professor?
It sounded really phony, like a weird ass dream about apes. I don't know. I don't think that this has legs. There is the remote possibility that there's nothing connecting these characters, but we first have to rule that out. I mean, Dr. Evans, you mentioned that the sigils were related to some kind of energy drain. Is that right?
Based on my own interest in the subject, yes. And I have to say, I have been trying to put together some connection by the fact that in two of these bodies, we have an enormous release or application of energy constrained. And in the other bodies, we've got a sigil or occult marking related to energy release. You know, energy comes in a number of forms, but it was a connection that I thought worth exploring.
I mean, they could be special, like whatever energy was harvested was maybe.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. We don't know anything about this. We should focus on concrete leads and move on. We need to build a case. Even if we're not going to take it to court, we need to focus on evidence, details, not theories.
Okay. Let's just list the evidence then.
Agreed.
We have sigils that are related to energy release, or maybe constraining it, or maybe they are constraining it, and then the defacing of those sigils cause something else to happen, and then we have energy release.
Yes, and we have the link to the.
You can stop me writing it down, but I'm going to carry on thinking about the connection. Okay.
Don't think too hard, Doctor.
It's what I'm paid to do, and someone has to.
We shouldn't rule out that they are actually connected. So I will go.
I think it'd be a pretty big fucking coincidence for there to be 3 occult killings and 2 spontaneous human combustions in the same 5-day period, don't you?
No, I mean, it is possible that nothing connects these people other than that they were killed by the same.
One thing that we know for sure is that Kim was, despite human combustion being the cause of death, is that there was definitely foul play. Somebody else was involved there because there was scenes of a break-in and a struggle. Victim 2, you know, the other burn victim, they're just found in an alleyway somewhere. We have no idea what happened there. But we know that malicious intent.
There, Gene, is it worth going to the scene of the crime then, the break-in, see if they were looking for anything at the scene of the crime?
I think our best one would be Kim. That was only 24 hours ago. The scene's still fresh. Everything else is going to be cold at this point, too disturbed.
And it's a scene, as you said. The other guy was in an alley.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should focus on the 2 break-ins. That would be Vosswinkel as well, because the other ones could be, you know, by accident, but you don't break into an apartment unless you want to kill that person.
Yeah. I think that Kim's work, it's an odd coincidence to me that a professor of linguistics comes up who's got links to some fringe
and keep
thing.
in mind that when I say linguistics, they're very much like Asian languages and like modern Asian languages and linguistics in the sense of teaching how languages interrelate, not like ancient languages or anything like that. Just to be clear.
No. Yeah, no, I didn't suspect as much, but just with that link to the Apexi project,
right,
which is a fringe group, and the fact that you know,
they are
history suggests
the
that
Apexi group is a technological startup. It's a therapeutic facility.
Yeah, it's just out of all of our victims, the only one who's got anything kooky about them that's in the realm of fringe as opposed to crime, whereas Robles has that suspected identity theft.
A
thing, isn't it?
concrete plan of action. Let's look into. I will look into the financial dealings of this Mr. Vosswinkel or Vollwinkle. Maybe we find someone who is connected to that startup.
You're gonna hit the apartment, Jim?
Yeah, that's cop stuff there. I think that's where my skills are.
I'm wondering. I mean, is there any record of spontaneous combustion during the 15-16 killings?
No.
The Lafferty killings? No, there's no. So something's different here about that.
I mean, yeah, spontaneous combustion is not common. It's more
No.
common than a black president, but it's still uncommon.
Well, there's two of them, right? One thing we should keep an eye out for is any of the weapons involved here. We've got at least 5 different tools here. You know, those that'll create a forensic link to anybody who used them. If you see them or whatever, if you can find where they might have been stashed. So something to keep in mind.
I think that there is, that's interesting because in terms of the ones where we've been able to examine the bodies rather than just the burned remains, it does seem to me that there is kind of a sequence. Someone approaches or breaks in maybe the victim. They use whatever's convenient. It seems peculiarly unplanned. I mean, the Vollwinkle, a marble statuette, that sounds like you just pick it up and hit somebody with it.
No forced entry either.
Exactly. And
My chance he knew the victim.
And then there's one of them that's stunned with a taser, and then stuff happens. There's one knocked over the head, and then stuff happens. And there's someone stabbed, and then stuff happens. I just find it interesting that we've got a variety of MOs, but in a kind of similar scaffold.
So
subdued
by an opportune weapon.
Well, victim 1 is subdued by a taser.
Okay,
then carved with a combat knife, and then they switch to a box cutter when they realize that the combat knife isn't going to do the job. And then victim 3, they use a box cutter on them after attacking her in an isolated area. And then by the time they get to victim 4, Vollwinkle, which seems the most opportunistic one, given that he was killed by blunt trauma to the head. We found that it was a marble statuette. That seems most opportune killing, but they brought a hobby knife.
We don't know they brought a hobby knife, just by the by. And I will stress it's a different box cutter in victim 1 and 3.
Yes. I mean, but we don't know if that's just changing the tools up for forensics or if it's different people, but I'd be surprised. You know, my gut feeling is that the hobby knife, if I wanted to carve delicate symbols, the hobby knife would be the best tool in any of those things, from box cutter to combat knife to hobby knife. To me, that feels like a progression of intent, if not talent. But we know that there was perhaps 2 people working here.
Can I just suggest, Gene, that you're moving into drawing conclusions? When do we get back to listing the evidence? And because
decision paralysis is creeping in here.
Yes.
Jim, let's go.
However, Doctor, knives exist and magic, I don't know that. Do you?
Absolutely, I do. Yes.
Do you know magic?
All my experience in the last several months suggests to me that there are unnatural forces at work. Well, whatever you call them, you can't ignore them.
Yes, and we don't know how they work, whereas we do know how knives work.
Gene, Marcus, Susan, you're all talking. I'm having trouble. What are we going to do?
Jim,
I'm going to go to that apartment.
Okay.
Yes, I will join you.
Okay. So Susan and Paul heading to check out the victimology, check out the site for Harley Kim. most of the victimology you've done so far has been purely like online research and stuff, and the forensics check. Gene,
I'd like to know where the good doctor's feeling his skills are best put to use, because he's got the most specialized set of forensic autopsy, blah blah blah, kind of scientific skills. So I'm just wondering where does the doctor feel that he'd be most useful?
Oh, I want to dig into anything, out there on spontaneous combustion and try to link it to the sigils.
Okay, you're going to hit up the sort of the fringe occulty kind of stuff. Okay. I would like to look into Lafferty. I know that he's dead. I know that he's buried somewhere that we'll never find him. I know that it will push the detective a bit further. My feeling is Gina's got this detective marked down as a potential friendly if it comes down to it. But I think we'll need a bit more to get him on board with that stuff.
okay.
But I'm wondering, do they have any, if I was to look up Lafferty, if I was to get into his stuff, if I was to track him down, what could I find out?
We'll do that. Let's do Rajavi and Williams, then do Dr. Evans, and then come to Eugene. Kind of do that order. Susan, Jim, the house, the Harley Kim house, it's actual like small house.
I think we wanted to go to Fauxwinkle first. Is that correct, Jim Williams?
I thought we were only going to Kim, but I'm more than happy to go to Fauxwinkle. If it's a crime scene, I've got skills in that area.
Because I'm sorry, because Kim was the most recent one. My bad.
But I'm happy to go and see Fauxwinkle, Susan. There's no problem with that.
What I wanted to mention is on the way to, in the car, I think that Jim is probably driving and Susan will look in at the financial background of Fauxwinkle.
Okay.
While we're driving to Kim.
I mean, I'm a shit driver, but you can't drive, can you? So that's fine.
I can't drive and research. That's the problem.
So I think you'll find, as I said before, that Fauxwinkle is a like investment person, does investment advising, that kind of thing. He's a hot shot. He's overpaid. He's young. He is living just at the edge of his means in terms of his spending. But nothing that seems illegal or untoward, except for, of course, he's got a bunch of Bitcoin, which is always a danger signal, and that kind of thing. But nothing that raises a red flag in terms of embezzlement or unusual spending or anything like that. He does a lot of, he clearly spends a lot of money on going out to bars and clubs and that kind of thing.
Did we get the name of Kim's startup?
Of Kim's startup.
There was something about.
That's the Aprexi project, the people that she was in touch with.
Oh, we haven't researched the.
You haven't had a chance to look into them further. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like connection, you kind of run that name against what he does, and you won't see any of that really pop up.
But I would get the idea that he's a douchebag.
Oh yeah,
and that's the second one already. Maybe that's what connects them all.
You got a large victim pool then.
It'd be worse, Susan. He could be Farmer Boy.
So you'll arrive at the Kim crime scene. Again, this is 24 hours ago. There's police tape there. It's secured, but this is not a place that they would post a guard on it, that kind of thing. You can see that the snow out in the street is very run through, like clearly yesterday there were, news vans out here, that kind of thing. But now it's much more quiet. People will kind of look at you as you arrive, but you can make your way up to the house.
Yesterday's news, Susan. Yesterday's news.
So, do you want to make a forensics or a criminology spend, Jim?
Let me see if I have both.
You do?
I think I do. I do. Criminology. I'm looking for details about the break-in. Really.
So,
forced entry. Good, bad.
You will.
I take that's a spend.
Yeah, that is a 1 point spend. You will check things out. It looks to you very much like whoever came in, like the sort of disturbances and then the attack pattern indicates to you that this was not a robbery, that it was very much like a person came in with the intent to kill. There's clearly a struggle there before that goes on, which seems a little odd to you. Like the timing they have on this is say like 3 in the morning. So Kim was clearly up. Like there's no evidence that she was woken out of bed or heard anything, but she was kind of caught in the TV room, and was attacked there and killed there. You will take a look around, and you'll see there's various books on like dream therapy and dream interpretation and that kind of thing. Like clearly there's evidence that supports what you've heard, that she was suffering from chronic night terrors.
Does she have like a dream journal or something? I checked the what's it called? Sleeping room?
Oh yeah, the bedroom.
Bedroom.
The sleeping journal stops about 6 days ago.
And it confirms her recurring dream of this elevator.
Yeah, you'll go through it. You'll see it. It's in variations, but it's there. The thing that will strike you there, Jim, as you are looking around, is this is with your criminology spend. The house hasn't been tossed. Like nobody's like tossed it. The police have kind of done a basic search, but you'll do a more serious search, and you will find in sort of a back of a drawer, kind of tucked back, like underside, you will find a little wooden box, kind of open it up, and you will see a X-Acto set, and there's blood and gore still on it. It's clearly kind of been washed, but it's still got material on it.
That's definite evidence. So that will get bagged perfectly.
Jim, I just got an idea.
Fire ahead, Susan.
I mean, she killed someone, right? Why would the killer hide the knives here? It's like a curse that just goes from one to the other. You know what I mean? The killer gets killed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I clearly see where you're going from. Do you think it's one person hands over the killing to another?
In the sense that they become the next victim.
Yeah, they dream of, well, yeah. I mean, again, we're just sort of spitballing here. They dream about it, dream about it, dream about it. Gets too much. They then go out and.
We need to check the blood. Whose blood is this? If it's Kim's blood, my whole theory goes down the drain.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad. We can get that back to the doctor.
Yeah.
But Susan, when you were here, you know, were you dealing with the doctor when he did the autopsies? Did he say to you at all, was the perpetrator? So how was she killed exactly?
Harley Kim?
Yeah.
She was combusted.
There's not enough. Yeah, there's not enough left to tell. We've got the top of the skull,
so, we're not going to get any sort of
fingertips, and feet.
Okay, when we do the others, then I think when we go to Fogel's, you know, was he attacked by somebody taller or shorter than him? I think the doctor, with his forensic knowledge, should be able to determine the attackers in each case, whether they were taller or shorter than the victim. Normally,
in our crazy theory, Adrian Winkle would have killed Kim, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
with the other three,
No.
I don't think we can
What
get
is our
much of a
theory?
combustion. But when I'm doing a search of her apartment, I'm looking for meds.
Oh yeah.
Has she been
She has a number of sleep
Sleeping
aid
aids?
and drugs, things like that. It looks like she has additionally some stuff that you don't recognize. That is like there's some dosage notes and things like that for the Apexi group. Like clearly these are therapeutic medicines. But you're like,
But they're not prescription.
they're not prescription, or
Okay.
they're not, haven't been picked up at a drugstore, certainly.
Okay. And they're not sort of Asian medicine.
No,
No,
I think
nothing
what you'll
like that.
see is it looks like you'll probably find like what you know is when places are working with experimental medicines and medicine testing and things like that, there are certain code numbers and things that are on there.
Yeah.
That's what this looks like.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's good evidence. We'll bag that.
Let me come to Susan. Susan, what are you looking for here in this house?
So I also bagged the dream journal. I mean, anything that connects her to the Epoxy Institute.
Oh yeah, there's probably some pamphlets and things like that. One of the things you'll see is that very clearly they do like on-site sleep testing, dream monitoring, that kind of thing. You know, they have a journal about the night before you shouldn't, eat spicy foods, or that kind of, when you're coming for your dream session, to be prepared for this and that.
Is there an address where I can get a dream session, maybe?
Oh, it's got the address of the facility of the company.
Nice. And then is there anything about, like, is there a computer? Can I check her financial background?
Sure. Well, let's have you make well, I think it's pretty easy. You will like find her laptop, and the police didn't note this, but somebody's popped the hard drive out.
I mean, does she have like a old-fashioned text folder with stuff?
Yeah, I assume you can find like her tax documents, like you can find that. Yeah.
To see if what kind of assets she has, where she, I don't know, what kind of income, where does the income come from apart from university?
Not very much apart from the university. She's got essentially, $2.86 in royalties for the book she wrote for her grad program, and maybe she sold some stuff on eBay, and that kind of thing. Like it's very much like, clearly this house was not a great investment, because she's like, if she doesn't get tenure, she's gonna have to go somewhere else, and she's kind of in debt right now on this. So she's kind of at the edge.
I dust off the computer for fingerprints. just to be super duper.
Okay, absolutely.
Probably the police did it, but better safe than sorry.
I'm going to swing back to you two and do another quick check before we change scene, give you a chance to do anything else in the house, but I want to go on and check with others. Dr. Evans, what are you doing?
You gave me something on the sigils, and I suppose what I'm curious about is whether another investigative spend would tie this down any better. For instance, I think it might well be possible for the forensics to have noted whether there was a gap between the application of the sigil and then the marks to destroy the sigil, or whether the marks to destroy the sigil might be another step in a ritual involving the sigil. I don't know which way you want to go, or whether there's anything worth spending for there.
Well, let me answer that. I think that given your forensic skill and so on, I'm gonna answer that question, then I'll let you kind of move to the next follow-up. It looks to you like on that first one, like they started to do the sigils and things, and there's a weird, at some point, clearly, it's almost like they panicked. Like they're like, oh shit. And started to vary. It's non-systemic. It's just kind of a wild thing like that. So that's a very weird transition that you get there. And you don't see that on the other two bodies.
So which body is that one?
That is the first body that had the
first one.
defaced sigils.
Okay. And then that is not the case on Petrovich or Vowinkle.
That is correct.
Not that they weren't, the sigils weren't destroyed at all.
No, like there's none of that.
Okay, I don't think I picked that up last time.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Okay.
So what's your next step, next question here?
Yeah. So then, yeah, it is then about, oh no. Is there any sign of any other damage to the tissues in the three carved victims, particularly differences between victim 1 and 2, 3? I'm just wondering, any sign of flesh
Keep in mind,
denaturing,
so the first victim tasered and then stabbed, clearly while semi-incapacitated. You're guessing that maybe was stabbed while they were standing up after having been tased. Maybe they fell against the wall. That's your judgment from looking at the evidence. The second person is strangled while they're sitting down, and strangled. Somebody came up behind them and strangled them.
But I'm strangled to death.
To death.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
And then Vowinkle hit on the back of the head. Now I say strangled to death, but in the sense that the strangulation, they might have taken a little bit to die from the asphyxiation, the crushing of the windpipe kind of thing. And Vowinkle, hit on the back of the head with that statue. You're guessing the person probably shorter than they are, just judging by the swing.
Okay. So in terms of a sequence of events, then the carving gets more professional across these three victims, but I'm still unclear whether the wounds caused by the sigil were on a dead person, or whether the person was still alive.
Yeah,
because it seems to me that the amount of blood flow from those wounds should tell me something.
I think that some of them are pre-mortem, as they're dying, and then some of them are post-mortem.
Okay, so do you want me to make a forensic spend to work out if there's a trend here? Because that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. These seem very different. And you're looking at the forensic evidence, you're looking at the strength used, at the depth, at the style, at everything. Like they're very close, like very like copycat close, like copycat set of knowledge, clear, very, very close. But these are three different killers.
Okay, and that's my forensic spend, I'm guessing.
Yeah. You're like kind of look at it. You've kind of been thinking, okay, how is the chain? How is his evolution? You're kind of imagine we see you looking at that, and then you're like, no, these are three different killers who've done this.
Okay. And just one last question:
Mm-hmm.
the statuette, was it still at the scene?
Yeah.
And do they have fingerprints for it?
They don't have it. There's no fingerprints on it. So the sense is that somebody had put on gloves.
But no other weapons at the scene of the other two, or indeed the other four.
Correct.
Okay, that'll do me.
Agent Oliver, what are you looking into?
So how do I oh, Lafferty. I feel like Stone probably didn't enter anything about Lafferty into the thing, and it seems as though I'd got as much as I could get out of Stone without pushing him too far.
Yeah, I think you could run criminology if you wanted to like see what is actually entered in the system, what's going on, what's recorded, what's known. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, I do. I want to track him. I want to try and track out, because whatever we're dealing with here, it's linked to Lafferty. Okay. And he's so far our only identified hostile until we found Kim.
So let's talk about the early cases. Those are technically still open, right?
Yeah.
And they have remained open. And they netted a lot of people. They grabbed any people, of course, who were in the victim's circles, any people who were seen on scene, any person they'd been in contact with a previous day. And there were several overlaps, several people that popped up. Lafferty popped up twice, once having been like seen with one of the victims, and another time spotted in a nearby area. What you will find is, of course, there are the various interrogation, recordings and things like that. You will find that it's tough to find the Lafferty recordings, but you'll be able to locate them. Like somebody clearly did a job to like make them disappear. Like they wouldn't pop up.
Almost as though someone didn't want anybody to ever think of the name Lafferty ever again. If
right.
They could do. Yeah.
And he's arrogant. He's smart. He's cocky, and you can tell that Stone gets hostile with him very quickly. And you can tell by the second interview that Stone has a cop's gut feeling, and is doing that. There are some gaps in the paper trail after that you suspect are memos from Stone saying, this guy's the killer, blah, blah, blah. This is that, we have this, we've got to nail him kind of thing. And those, just by the, like what's left, the traces, those have gotten pulled.
Jean has a sickening feeling in her stomach for a brief second where she contemplates the idea that maybe it wasn't Lafferty. Maybe Stone just fixated on the wrong person and took him out. And that would be the true existential horror of this whole thing, I think.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Because right now he's got to be questioning himself too.
Yeah, because there are killers out there, but we know that there's two. So, known
And
associates of Lafferty, his message boards. I mean, he's a programmer, wasn't he? He did work for pornography websites online.
he
Maybe
did work for websites.
for websites.
I never said pornography websites.
Oh, I thought you said pornography websites.
No.
I don't know why I thought that.
Well, I think that Stone mentioned, like mentioned Lafferty, maybe mentioned porn, like throwing out some of this like typical serial killer, like pseudo symptoms kind of thing.
Yeah. That's it. Definitely, I remember it being mentioned as a word because I said that he worked for some porn websites, fringe websites.
You will check on Lafferty, because the other check that you find is you'll find the missing persons report for Lafferty. And the thing that will kind of bring you up short there when you go to check on it is it's clearly like a week or two later, like probably 10 days later, that somebody comes looking for Lafferty and files a missing persons report. They indicate that Lafferty owed them work, that they've gone to Lafferty's apartment, he wasn't there, that he checked around, stuff like that, and that that the landlady indicated that Lafferty's things were still in his apartment. So this gentleman was very concerned. And this guy's name is Thomas Braylon.
Thomas Braylon.
And he is the lead researcher for the Apexi project.
Well, that was going to be my next question, was going to be seeing if there's any connections between those two. And you said works for, and then, yes, that's an immediate, like, Gene is like, I knew it.
Let's take our first 10-minute break here, and then we'll come back with Jim and Susan. So, Jim, before we move on, I want to give you a chance to have if there's anything else you want to look for here, anything?
No, I'll turn to Susan and say, I think we've got the drugs that links to this institute. I think that's really pushing sort of our direction of inquiry. But I think, we should go to the other guy, see if that will corroborate our findings here, Susan.
Yeah, so if our theory is right, then Petrovich would have called Robles would have called Morse, and Kim would have killed Vorwinkle, right? So there must be a way to check this.
Yeah, but I mean, I definitely think those experimental drugs, it sort of ties it now into this clinic. So let's look for some more corroborating evidence.
I think we're done
so
here.
let me offer.
Did you want to look at more at his computer?
Yeah, that is the one thing that popped into my mind with the help of.
Let me offer you a spend, Jim, on the last case of this, and then let's talk with Susan about like doing the data retrieval on the computer.
Yeah.
And if you want to make a notice spend.
Certainly can.
And this is used kind of, you've been going around the apartment, Susan's been checking the computer, things like that. And it's a very nice apartment, very well maintained, that kind of thing. And then you'll like stop and you come back into the room that has the computer in it, clearly like the work area and stuff. And there is like the bottom of a flower pot, like the bottom, you could get hold of water that's seated there on the desk, and there are cigarette butts in it. And there's a pack of cigarettes there with like 2 or 3 left. And there's no in anywhere else in the place. Like there's no like evidence that she was a smoker. Like there are no cigarette wrappers anywhere else. There's no cigarette butts. There's no smell of tobacco.
Just a quick look at them. Is it any sort of discerning marks on the butts, like lipstick?
Yeah,
Can
lipstick. Yeah, looks like lipstick. These are essentially Camel's filters. And yeah, it's very strange. Like she just took up smoking over the last few days.
Okay, that could definitely fit in with. I mean, that's really good because we think she is the smoker. But yeah, clearly it's a new thing she's taken up. So I think that's really good. So yeah, bag it and tag it.
Okay.
But Susan, do you think? I'll fully show this to Susan. Are we seeing a rapid change of somebody here? I think it's pointing in that she couldn't sleep for the last 6 days. Suddenly took up smoking. And I understand that people take up smoking. When they are
stress situation. Yeah. Can we check if the like her purse or her, I don't know, where she has the cosmetica? Can we check that is actually her lipstick? It could be somebody.
Good call. Yeah,
her.
no, I think you can check and confirm the shade will match just on a quick color match.
So it's hers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
There were no in the last 6 days. There were no new entries in her dream journal. I think
that's correct.
Would a role in psychoanalysis or a spend in medicine or pharmacy maybe? Would the use of cigarettes, fit that pattern?
What pattern?
That she, that she just couldn't sleep, and this she's turned to either drugs or yeah. I mean, nicotine is a drug.
So it's unusual because she clearly does have a medicine cabinet of sleep aids. She has a kitchen that's filled with herbal teas. Like they're all this kind of stuff that seems like she's like had trouble sleeping in the nightmares for years, and she's got a kit of things to deal with that. But there's no evidence of a previous being a smoker.
I would assume that.
I mean, I'm not a smoker. Is it the opposite?
It's absolutely. You don't. It is a stimulant.
Stimulant.
Yeah, but if you want one, you will not sleep either.
Yeah.
No.
So I would assume that it's more like a sign of a personality change almost, which would
flick in with what we were thinking about, Susan.
I just wanted to put out for the brain trust that's doing it is we had reason to believe that 2 people were killed by 2 different people at similar points. So the idea of the murderers all being committed by the next victim is complicated by 3 and 4.
It was a little rabbit hole we were going down.
Yeah. Okay.
Evidence will point otherwise.
Let's get the other.
Jim and Susan would know that, So
we've got 2 killings.
I'd like a little scene in the car with Susan as we go to Xavier's thing. But let's flick to the others.
Let's do the computer thing.
Yeah.
First, and
maybe.
Then
maybe Susan takes the computer, checks it for for RAM having some kind of information. So that would be data retrieval.
Yeah, I think so. It's not damaged. It hasn't been destroyed. If it was like if somebody had deliberately sabotaged it more fully, then I'd probably have you make a computer's roll. But I think this is just a data retrieval spend.
Okay, I will make the spend. Where's data retrieval?
That is under technical, right?
Survival, pharmacy, notice. I don't have it.
Yes, you do. It's under technical.
Oh, I'm in the wrong column.
Okay.
I do have it.
Yeah, I should do that header thing that Rich sometimes does where it stays.
No, I hate this. I hate this.
Oh, you
I
hate
this so
that?
much. Yeah, because it makes the screen that you can actually read smaller.
Okay. So you will pull this up and essentially you can get most recent like search history stuff. And the things that will pop up are there are a set of names that are searched for, and there's another thing, but the names, the list of names that you will get that pop up is she searched for one Alex Salinas, Joel Robles, and Zaria Wiley.
Zaria Wiley is the ex-wife of Lane Moss.
That's not the ex-wife. No, that's the other person he was stalking.
Oh, the stalking person, but there's definitely a connection. I think I turn to Jim. Maybe Alex Salinas could be a next target.
The other thing that you'll get as a set of searches is they do a set of searches on a particular like storage facility, you know, where you can buy a stall and store stuff. They do a search on that. You see, they do that. And then they go from that to doing some other searches until they get to kind of a, like, there are people that, of course, buy out the storage units that are left behind. And they come and they find a listing for someone who has clearly bought one of these storage units and is selling it. And it's listed with the serial killer room ? And then it describes this unit that has a bunch of weird occult paraphernalia and knives and like plastic sheeting and stuff like that, that they bought and they're selling it, you know, as a thing. And it sold probably about 3 months ago.
Unfortunate. Can I see who bought it?
Well, that'll be a whole nother thing. I think that's what you get on your research there. Dr. Evans, may I return to you?
Indeed. I think that I'm most interested in what Susan and Jim bring back, but I am keen to explore this sigil in an occult sense. Now that I'm getting some sense of the application process, I do want to dig into more about that sigil, using, I suppose, the neatest version of it, which is Vowinkle, if I've got that sequence right.
So wait, refresh me what exactly you're looking for.
I want to know more about the sigil. You
Okay.
told me it's about energy containment release.
Let's have you make either an anthropology or an occult spend.
Let's make an occult spend.
This pops up in some 40 and things, you know, the spontaneous combustion, things like that. And it traces back and you're like following up, and there's some documentation, there's some anthropological stuff. You go down rabbit holes here for the next couple of hours looking at this stuff until you find a set of notes and drawings that seem to be kind of a like early 20th century, like mystics, like necromancers kind of workbook. And in particular, he describes a spell for the drawing of essence and energy from another person to kill them, and to add their energy to your own. And the spell is called shriveling. It doesn't give much detail beyond that, but like some of the sigils and signs that pop up are there, are like you can make that occult association that that might be what this ritual is trying to do, is something akin to that.
Okay. Thank you. That'll do me.
Okay. Agent Oliver. We're now early. We're probably like at this point, like 4 or 5 in the morning at this point.
4 or 5 in the morning. I mean, it's too late to go approach anyone at this point. I think I need to sleep.
Yeah, so we just crash forward, and like, what do you do when you get up after a couple hours sleep?
I dream of spirals,
Oh,
fractal patterns. I don't like. And in the morning, knock on everyone. We all meet up, coffees, look around and say, well, maybe there was something to this whole channeling of energy thing. The X-Acto knife, I didn't see the professor as being, we need to get that blood tested. We need to work out who it was used on, who used it.
I'm assuming that the blood types of the victims will be on file, but we'll need to find somewhere to get the X-Acto tested.
Well, I think you probably have that equipment.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I mean,
we are an official task force investigating this, so we can draw upon the resources of whatever. It may require further depending on how quickly we want them.
Yeah, I think to test and get basically a blood type, you probably have the equipment for that, but probably nothing more sophisticated than that. And I think you can check the blood on the X-Acto knife, and you'll find it is a corresponding phenotype to Volwinkle's blood.
Volwinkle's blood.
Yeah. It'd take a better lab than you have here to do tool mark analysis to confirm and to do like a DNA workup, but circumstantially, it does look right. Gene, actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pause. What I want to do is, I know that Jim and Susan were going to the second scene. Let's do that quickly, then come back to you sort of in me. That way we get everything on the timeline kind of matched up. Does that seem fair?
That's fine by me, yeah.
Okay. But we'll get you like prime on the next thing. Jim, Susan, very easy to get to this scene. It's been a couple of days. It's an apartment. You can essentially flash a badge, and the building manager will get you in, and you can check out the scene. What is it you're looking for here? What is it you want to know?
Paul, you wanted to have a scene with Susan, I think.
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah.
I did. I fully.
Then let's do that. Let's do that on the way first.
Yeah. Okay. I will keep it brief because I don't want to cut into other people's. So I think the classic scene is we're driving from scene to scene, and Jim's just going to turn to Susan and say, you clearly seemed a bit visibly shaken, Susan, from what went on. I'm not even going to mention it, but what went on previously. I'm just going to say, yeah, if you do want to talk about it, outside of a professional situation, you can always feel free to, speak to me. I'm not world's greatest listener, but, if you do want to talk about it at all, feel free, and just, it's a good thing to talk about things, don't bottle it up. You know, you want to keep your humanity, basically, because I think what we all saw, well, everybody apart from the doctor, I don't know what the fuck he saw. You know, what we saw, you know, I think things like that will suck your humanity out. You know, I am a bit concerned, you know, about Jean and you know, some of the cold-blooded shit she did. You know, yeah, there is the mission, there's the task, but you know, let's try and sort of stick together. And you know, if you do need to chat about something, what I'm sort of saying is, you know, I am here.
And I think Susan will look at Jim for a minute, and then she says, "Well, thanks, Jim. I have the feeling that I'm the worst with what happened, and that Jean and Dr. Evans and you are maybe made from a more sturdier wood. But you know,
I had to do some nasty shit there, Susan. You know, gunning somebody down in cold daylight is not good.
No, it's not. But thanks, Jim.
Yeah, no problem. And then, yeah, we will whiz away in the car. The camera will pan round to the rear as it goes into the sunset.
Now you're muted.
So what is it that you are aiming for? Like what are you looking for here? What do you want to know from looking at this apartment?
I'm more than happy to spend forensics to look for all pharmacy. Is there a medical sort of drug link to the clinic, or forensics sort of, you know, what went on at the scene of the crime?
Absolutely. No spend necessary, I think, for this. No forced entry. It looks like, to your mind, Von Winkle brought someone with him. This would be late, given what you know. The clothing that was found, you know, he clearly had some spilled alcohol on it. You'd guess he'd been out drinking or at a club or something. They get inside, he goes, gets some more alcohol, comes out to essentially unsub 2, and at a certain point in that conversation, pretty early before like anything physical happens or like they sit down or anything like that, this person hits him on the back of the head with this statuette found on a sideboard. You know, you can see the dust pattern and stuff. It's a knickknack. He clearly like hired one of those services that just puts knickknacks in your house to make it kind of look cool, and like clubs him over the head with it. He falls to the ground, and then the next part is the cutting.
Quick rule out: the statue was not some ancient statue of a tentacle-faced creature.
No,
that's fine. I just wanted to rule that one out early.
Perfect. But yeah, I think you can do that full walkthrough and read on the place and see that. Susan, what are you looking for? What do you want to know from examining the site?
Anything that, you know, his, again, computer, email correspondence, anything that would link him to Kim, which we assume is the killer. And if somebody entered, you know, without forced entry, you can assume that they knew each other, or anything that links him to Epoxy.
There's no connection to Epoxy that you can find. Like you could do a quick check on that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't appear to you that, you know, there's like any connection to other people. It looks to you like this is a target of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. But Paul just had a great point. This is a pretty expensive apartment, right?
Yeah.
Is there, and it's like an in a luxury apartment complex, or is it a freestanding thing?
It's probably, a multi-story. We're talking Kansas City, so not particularly sophisticated, but you can check for the CCTV.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have you make a spend on that. That would be
Take the retrieval again.
yeah, I
maybe?
think that's the appropriate one for that.
Cool.
This person is doing some work to like not get seen directly by the camera. They clearly know what they're doing. You would guess that they probably like checked it out a little bit before, but there'll be that moment when it's just the way a passing car kind of forces them to step or so on, that you will get just a glimpse of Harley Kim walking with Volwinkle towards the apartment building, and
Bingo.
but standing in a way that, like, if you were looking at it, they might not be walking together. Like, the person is purely playing this, knows what they're doing, and is playing this very casual. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Very fair. I
Okay.
mean, we got our theory confirmed almost.
Let's do that scene. We can kind of take that out of context time-wise, like in between things, and do the Jim Gene scene. And then we'll come to Gene at the investigative table. Does that seem cool? Let's assume this is probably like just before bar closing, after you've been to Kim's house, in the middle of things, that you can stop and like catch a half hour to chat, have a drink, before you move on to sort of the next step here. So let's start with you, Jim.
Yeah, sort of sitting down over a scotch with Gene in some bar, and I'll just turn to Gene and say, Gene, you've been at this a bit more than me, but what I did back there on the previous mission, that was some cold-blooded shit, and I'm a bit worried. You clearly do some. You were happy to pile those bodies in that incinerator.
Jean's hand like grips tight on the glass, and like it looks for a second like she's going to smash her in the face with it, and then she just lets out a breath and drinks, knocks it back, and she says, "Happy's not the word I'd use."
No, but you deal with it. What I want to know is, does it get harder or does it get easier?
They weren't human anymore.
That's how I looked at it, but it clearly shook me. Does it shake you?
What the fuck do you think?
I don't know, Gene. I'd like to say it does. I'm just worried about you.
When I joined this thing, I thought I could take them down. I thought I could expose them. I thought I could show everyone that there's this shadowy group of fucks murdering people outside of the law.
Seems to be a lot of shadowy groups of fucks.
Yeah. And then it turns out that they were right. And there are monsters in the world, and they can get in your head, and they can make you do things.
They are.
I watched a man I trust with my life turn around and try to attack me like some sort of rabid animal.
Okay.
He didn't make it out of that hole.
Yeah. I want to live a long life. I want grandkids. Yeah, I'm dealing with it now, but I'm just a bit concerned, Gene.
You want grandkids?
I'm concerned for me.
You want grandkids after what we saw? Jesus.
Well,
Yeah.
brother's got to do what a brother's got to do.
Well, that's what I love about you, Jim. It's the optimism.
Well, yeah, I've still got some, Gene.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've still got some. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we've got a case to crack, Gene.
Yeah.
Let's get on it. But yeah,
Good work
keeping
with
an eye on
the.
it, Gene.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may take that sanity restoring and restore your bond back up to 3. Agent Oliver, you have the basics on this missing persons report. That's sort of where we left off.
Yeah. You know, and this is in the morning with the rest of the team. Clearly, a lot of things lead back to the Apexi project. Thomas Braylon, Lafferty used to work for them. Kim was involved with them. The Apexi project requires some sort of looking into, I think. Doc, well, I didn't realize that the Necronomicon was on the list of texts at Harvard Medical School, but clearly you've got more of a knack for this than I would have imagined.
It's fascinating stuff. I mean, this is fascinating, and I guess I'm curious about 3 things right now. One, the hypothesis that links the Kim via the X-Acto knife to Bullwinkle seems pretty solid in a world that we live in now.
Yes.
Is there any way to confirm any relationship between Robles and Moss to just check the hypothesis? I'm curious about Petrovich, because if Bullwinkle Kim is a pair, one source, one destination of energy, uncontained. If in our hypothesis Moss Robles is a connected pair, victim provides energy, Robles ignites from it, how does Petrovich fit? Because while the carvings are incomplete, crude, they are not destroyed, and that would suggest that someone at least tried to harvest energy from her. We don't yet, do we, have a chain that sees, say, Bullwinkle harvesting from Petrovic and then being harvested. I'm just curious about what happened in the Petrovic case.
I think there's legs with the transfer of energy.
Say again?
I think there's legs with this transfer of energy. I was skeptical at first, but I think you're right here. But the idea that each of them victims in turn murdered the previous one, I'm not sure it holds up with the Bullwinkle case.
So where's the problem with the time? There was one killing, there was
Petrovic and Bullwinkle.
Petrovic and Bullwinkle
Very
were
close together.
enough that you're certain they didn't, but the police have enough wiggle room to say that they were probably linked.
I think we can call Kim unsub 2 based on what we've picked up. We know that she's one of the agents here. We just need to work out who unsub 1 is. Now, Wiley showing up in Kim's search, Robles showing up in Kim's search. That indicates that Kim, it's not just any coincidence here. And Wiley is Moss's, right? That's the name, Moss?
Yeah.
Yeah, Moss's stalker. We haven't spoken to her. We've spoken to the ex-wife. Now there's Selenis, Wiley, 2 living people that we can talk to. And then there's the head of the Apexi project. And then
there might be a ticking clock, actually. So I think these 2
that's
should
my
be...
concern. I think that the Apexi project now, I think that we should track down Wiley and Selenis as soon as possible. Look into the Apexi project, see what we can work out from that before we come at Braylon. We want to have some things in detail before we go. You know, we don't let him give us the story of the Apexi project. See what it is before we talk to him. And What about this safety, this storage unit? Who bought
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
Now I'm a people person. She smiles. I'm happy to deal with one of the people, maybe Wiley. She's got some bad shit in her past with Moss.
Gene, you are aware that we are people as well. So if you're a people person, you could show that more often.
It's news to me, that you're a person, Rojani.
I think what Susan said earlier about getting somebody in the project.
If only we knew a medical.
We'll need to do some background on them first, so nobody goes in facing danger.
If only we knew a medical person with an interest in esoteric functions and a passion for discovering things.
A medical person is interested in drugs.
I didn't want to make it obvious, but it does seem to me that I might be the best equipped to look at a cross between wellness and psychotherapy with a pharmacological connection.
I agree, Doctor. I think you should definitely. I think you'd be the best bet. I think you'd be the most impressive, and I think you'd be the one least likely to spook anyone involved here.
So doctor going to look into the Apexi situation. So that's one.
I think so. I certainly am not going to be any good meeting potential victims or suspects.
I could take care of Wiley.
Yeah. Then that leaves me with Selenus, who we haven't got any details on, right? We don't know anything about them beyond the name.
And what about you, Jim?
It sounds like the storage unit is coming my way, doesn't it?
Okay.
We can swap out one of them if you want. I'm not fussed. Just someone's got to do something, right?
Let's do this. Let's put the storage unit as. Let's do that as number 4. Let's in the order, and that way, if something changes, you can make another choice. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
So, Susan, how are you approaching Wiley?
I look up her.
Gene is going to tell Rojavi, you need to go in person.
Yeah, I know.
None of this phone call shit.
We need to make sure that she is safe. I get that.
No, you need to be able to look her in the eyes when she lies to you.
You are a people's person.
Yeah.
I have some photos too. I'll add to the NPC list here. Now we've got some additional names. Let me grab those up real quick.
I just want to thank Alan for the Miro board reorganization. No, it's very good. I like it.
You've as an entry drug, the Miro board is a frightening thing.
Yes. So let's see. Let me get those in there. I'm going to mute myself because I'm going to sneeze.
I can't imagine what it sounded like, but it looked horrible.
Rosan. What I'm
she has sad eyes.
She has sad eyes, yeah. What I'm looking forward, what I'm really enjoying about these is the partial picture that we get as we go along, and then like the breaks that suggest more connections but don't flesh out. And it reminds me very much of the Knights Black Agents experience. And just the shutting down the theorizing was a callback to the first session that me and Horst played in a Delta Green, where we spent like a solid hour talking in a hotel room rather than go out and actually chase down any leads.
That was in your head. It was like 15 minutes.
I know.
I mean, in game time.
Yeah, in game time, yeah. And that was at the point when we were supposed to be working an FBI case, wasn't it, rather than a Delta Green one? You know, we were newbies.
So that is on that row 40, that's Wiley, and then that's Salinas next to her. And then the other picture is of Braylon up there in the row above.
Thank you. I'll do a, I mean, I'm assuming I can just do a license plate check pretty easily, right?
Yeah, I think that's a casual use. Yeah, but we're talking with Susan. What do you want to
Oh, yeah,
do
sorry.
here?
Yeah, I look up Wiley's address.
Yeah, she lives in an apartment. You can, check employment history. Essentially, she works at a clothing store at a strip mall. And so you can try and catch her like before she goes to work, or you can catch her at work. What do you want to try and do?
I would like to, I mean, I don't want her to be in a hurry. I think I will visit her in the store.
Okay. So you will go essentially to the Fashion Bug is the name of it. It's got a ladybug as the little symbol there. And
Cute.
it's, you go in and you'll look and you can see her. She's kind of standing behind the counter, literally not doing anything. There are a couple other people working.
I'm approaching her and I say, clearly I need a new outfit.
What are you looking for?
I don't know, something casually smart, I think.
Like a pantsuit?
Yeah, like somebody working from the FBI could wear.
She kind of like X-Files kind of thing. You want to be like that?
And she takes out her badge and says, well, actually, I am from the FBI. I just want to look the, what's it called? Look that way.
Look the part?
Look the part is the phrase. So I'm hoping that I don't spook you, but I know about your unfortunate altercation with Mr. Moss.
Yeah, it's it was a thing that went on for a while.
So what happened exactly? Did you have an affair with him and then he turned strange?
Go fuck yourself.
Oh wow, that language. I'm
what is the FBI? Like she goes into kind of hostile mode before we can go to some spends here in a second, but like she gets her bristles up. Like clearly the idea of being involved with that guy is what is the FBI? What are you doing? What's going on?
I think that you might be in danger, and I would want to make sure that everything's okay with you. And in order to do that, I need to find out what you're
in danger. What do you mean in danger?
Well,
now let's look at your mode here. Let's look at what interpersonal spend you want to make here to kind of start to change the situation.
I think it's what's it called? Like calming her down.
Reassurance.
Reassurance.
Okay. Then let's have you make a spend from interpersonal.
Interpersonal, yes.
I
haven't
mean,
used it.
She says, "You think the person that killed him is going to try and kill me? Is that what you're saying?"
Well, your name came up in an online search by a person that we think is involved in criminal activity. That's all that I can tell you. But
who?
Well, this is unfortunately confidential.
So there's somebody there who think is going to try and kill me, and you're not going to tell me their name?
No, the person that I would name to you is connected to an online search that is related to the case. That's all I can say. Mrs. Wiley, so can we talk about your
Miss.
Miss? I'm sorry. Can we talk about your relationship with Mr. Moss, other than that he was stalking you? Like, how did you meet?
I used to work at In-N-Out Burger, and he used to come in. I did late shift, and you get these guys who come in and they think because you smile and you say hi that like God has put them there to change their lives.
Oh yeah.
And that's clearly what he thought, and he kept coming in and he kept talking to me, and you know, the manager wasn't particularly helpful. I was told to be nice, you know, but then he started asking me out, and I was like, no, I no. And uh, then he then he started, you know, showing up at different places where I was, and eventually I had to file a restraining order.
Does the name Joel Robles tells you anything?
Like I heard there was a guy who got killed.
Hmm. And Petrovich, Jelena Petrovich, does the name ring a bell?
I've read the papers. I saw a thing. This is that serial killer, right?
I show pictures of the victims. I assume that we have them, like not when they're dead, but.
And
do you recognize any of these people?
And she looks up at you and she goes, no, as she's lying to you.
Wow. Can I make human to see if the lying is malicious, in the sense that is she afraid, or is she hiding something that would, you know, reveal to me that she's involved in this?
I'll let you make a human spent.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point in the conversation, her manner changed. And where she was kind of pissed off and a little like leery of you kind of right at the start, she's much more calm and controlled now.
Is that like an eerie personality change? Almost as if somebody possesses her, or like a bipolar or disorder or something?
Her personality has changed significantly. The way she's standing, the way she's looking at you, the way she's holding herself. And she says, we can't talk about this out on the floor. We can go to my manager's office.
Sure.
She says, I do know something.
I get that. Listen, Miss Wiley, why don't I visit you after, because something come up and I take out my mobile phone. Why don't we meet up after work at your place? Does that sound good?
Sure. That sounds good.
Thank you very much for your cooperation.
And you will head out, and
I will text them. Wiley is possessed, is what I text.
Well, we will. One of the things you'll notice is when you leave, you do that kind of watch, and you do see her, like when you're gone, you will see her pull out her phone and call someone.
The big fucking conspiracy.
Dr. Evans, let's come to you.
Well, I will want to brief myself on the claims of the Apexi project, I suppose, and
Absolutely.
to work out,
So the greater sort of tech farm that this is part of is called Maze Space. And it's kind of a seed company. It has several, divisions in it. And the Apexi project is involved with dream visualization, exploration, and therapy. Braylon's the head of this. It is working with a combination of pharmaceuticals, neuropathic therapy, and visualizations. What does neuropathic therapy mean? Anything you fucking want it to. It's one of those like therapeutic buzzwords there. I think looking through what the prospectus is that they are working with dream projection, visualization. They clearly have some proprietary material that they're working with that they don't talk about, and that is combined with work with on-staff therapists. In particular, they have a very narrow niche that they're working with. They're working with people who have recurring dream imagery and nightmares, like recurring elements. Like they are looking at that like patterns and particular visualizations that reappear for people's dreams that are coming from trauma or other incidents in their past, and that's what they work towards.
Right. And therefore, I think that the approach that I want to take is not many people know the CDC has a broader than you would expect public health approach. And one of the issues is around emotional health and well-being. And so it seems perfectly logical for Marcus Evans to turn up at the Apexi project,
Okay.
or which they whatever front-facing place.
Are you calling ahead? Or are you doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Right. To see if I can arrange to have a conversation with some colleagues there, because CDC we're interested in whether some of the more innovative approach to health and well-being are scalable.
And certainly, you dropped the name, the National Institutes of Health, and those kinds of things that they're associated. And they'll say, let me see. Dr. Braylon is on site today, so like usually we would have someone from our PR department, but come and talk. But you're not doing capital speculation, so on. Let me talk and yeah, Dr. Braylon will see you at 10 o'clock if you want to come in. We've got some things offline right now, but he'd be glad to walk you through the procedures.
That would be really helpful. And now, just for the others, I know that we said we didn't want to go after Braylon until we knew more, but I think there's a difference between what I can find out about this through Braylon. I'm not going after him. Just to make it clear, because I don't want to appear to be going against what we talked about. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'm happy with it.
The only other thing I want is just to clarify what they mean by dream visualization. Is this literally
that
technology?
Is incredibly unclear from the tech specs.
Okay.
It is incredibly unclear. This is very much buzzword tech speak. I would like your venture capital kind of stuff that you're seeing.
Okay. that gives me an agenda then.
Um,
And I look forward to meeting, is it Mr. Brennan or Dr. Brennan?
Dr. Braylon.
Of course it is.
Okay. And you can go ahead. It is, well, we'll cut to the others, but I just want to kind of set it up. It is like an innovation factory building, but they've got one floor of it. They clearly do therapy because there are people actually waiting for their appointments and things like that. And it's nice. They've clearly got some facilities back there. They've got sleep studies that are going on and that kind of thing. You maybe see someone going by in one of those sleep suits that they put, the full body sleep suits with the connectors. And the one thing you'll pick up is that a number of people here who are in for therapy, like their appointments have been put off, or like there's been a change in how things are being handled, and you'll hear that receptionist say, "We've had some issues, so we'll be rescheduling for the advanced sessions." Blah 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 blah.
And
But
of course, I'm going to say to that receptionist or whoever escorts me from A to B, look, I hope the disruption isn't about my visit.
No. We've had we had some issues. We're hoping to get things back online here soon enough. And then Dr. Braylon comes out and he'll say, "Dr. Evans, I've just been looking you up on the CDC site."
Well, thank you.
What a career.
Well, that's very kind of you to say so.
Why don't you come back with me into the heart of darkness?
I would love to. It's been
Good.
years since I was in the Congo.
Let's go. Dr. Agent Oliver, let's come to you.
Sure. So I'll look up Salinas.
Okay.
Get his details off the DMV.
Okay. Absolutely.
And if I'll Google him.
Okay.
Because Zowinkle, people like that, they would have had a presence if I'd looked him up, finance guy or whatever. So
he seems like a normal 30-something. He works at a credit union. He works in essentially very basic apps dev kind of stuff back there. Real basic stuff. He knows SQL. That's what he does. He knows how to work with SQL, and that's his task. Do you want to make let's see, either a human or a data recovery or a notice spend on this kind of look into?
I'll make a notice spend.
Okay. You do the Google, the check, you find the Facebook, you get in on that, and here is a guy who suffers from repeated problematic dream imagery.
I probably find that on his Facebook post.
Exactly.
Right?
Clearly, like he talks about that.
Yeah.
It's clear that he stopped talking about that a while back because people got tired of him talking about it. And he has this repeated multiple viewpoint nightmare about being on an airliner going down. And like that, like it's very clear that that's like been in the past has been a problem, but he's clearly going to therapy for it.
I'm gonna doorstep Salinas at his house,
Okay.
and ring him up before I go in, basically.
Okay.
Like I'll be parked in the car outside, and I'll ring his
right.
home address.
There's that sound of a like takes a couple of rings and hello.
Hi, my name is Agent Gene Oliver from the FBI. I was just ringing ahead to give you a warning. I was going to pop around and ask you some questions.
Why?
Your name's come up in connection to a case. It could be nothing, but I just need to go over some basics with you, okay?
Like, can we do this later in the day? I am still like, I'm a little shit-faced.
Don't worry, you're not a suspect. It's just, we really need to move on this now.
Okay.
Don't worry, I won't judge, okay?
All right. Well, just let me get some pants on.
Yeah, that would be good. Pants, you know, you can even make the coffee, all right?
Oh, I don't know if I can even drink. Okay. Okay. When are you coming?
Well, I'll see you. You want some breakfast? I'll order us some breakfast.
Oh God, no.
No?
No.
Okay. Wow. Heavy one, huh? I'll see you soon. All right. Maybe I'll give you 10 minutes. Yeah. I'm on my way.
Tim. Okay. And like you don't really get the click. You push through. You watch. He doesn't attempt to flee. You see some motion in the house. And then you go up and you ring the doorbell.
Yeah.
And this guy answers in like a sweatshirt, and then he's got like a jacket over it, and he looks kind of sick, like a little bit of the sweats, and he looks okay. He's wearing sweatpants, and he's got essentially thermal socks on, no shoes, and he says, come in.
Thanks. Alex, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, it smells like booze and vomit in here.
Gene looks around and says, where would you like to talk, Alex? Outside in the back?
No, I don't want to go outside. It's cold out. Let's just go in the kitchen.
Kitchen. Okay.
And you go in. It is a galley kitchen. I don't know if you know what that means.
I know what that means. Yeah.
Super narrow. So like,
yeah,
like there is a breakfast nook. There is a table with 2 chairs, and you kind of jammed in really close. And he goes and he sits down.
Gene is going to remain standing.
Yeah, dishes in the sink have stacked up, mold, that kind of thing. Empty beer cans, and he sits down. You can see that there's like an open pack of cigarettes, like just with one smoked, and he just kind of sits down.
What's the brand of cigarettes?
Camel.
What was the brand that Dr. Kim was smoking?
Camel.
Okay, interesting.
That's the only cigarettes Americans smoke.
No, it isn't.
No, it's not. Yeah. And Gene's going to ask him for one. You mind?
Because I don't smoke. Oh, shit. Yeah. Like, he's like, somebody must have left these here. Pushes it over towards you.
Nice. Gene is going to take one of them and then ask him for a light.
He says, looks around. He points to the stove.
We'll be able to lift the fingerprint off of that. Anyways. Okay, fair. I'll go and I'll go and light the cigarettes, and then just lean back and say, like, so, I just need you to look at some pictures and some names, and you tell me if anything stands out to you. Okay, Alex?
Okay.
And I'll show him the pictures.
He's like, I know a couple of these people.
Oh yeah.
Like he will point to Lane Moss, not Lane Moss, to Joe Robles. He's like he goes to the same therapist as me. So does she. Points to Kim.
And who's that?
We'll go to the sleep institute, and they have a couple of different therapists, but so it's kind of a variable thing.
And what's that about, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, they made us sign an NDA.
Oh, I'm only asking for your, why do you go there, Alex? Because, well, I'm
It's
sorry.
real serious because I keep having these dreams. I always had these dreams like for years now, and I'm on this plane, and we're flying, and then there's an explosion, and things go down, and we hit the water, and things start coming up out of the water. And I'm like, shark. I'm not
Things. What kind of things, Alex?
I don't want to. I really don't want. I'm not like it. If I start talking about it, I'll get really. I don't want to talk about it. That's why I go to therapy, and it's helped, but it hasn't helped because they showed me it.
What do you mean? What did they show you? I'll spend questioning, perhaps?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they show me my dreams, like on a screen. It's not great. It's not like full. It's like real fuzzy, but they do sleep round, and then they record it, and they can play back. They can play back your dreams. And we're going to cut there.
Yeah.
Jim,
Yes.
what are you doing?
I was planning on going to the lockup. But if anybody wants to send me a text message to say go somewhere else or do something else, I'm more than happy to listen to that.
I don't have an immediate action in mind that's urgent, so I'm very curious who bought the storage locker content.
I mean, I want all of us to go to Wiley together to, to find out what's.
Maybe
Okay,
Jim
so,
is Susan's backup for Wiley then.
Yeah, I think what we've got is backup for Susan.
I think we can bring multiple people there for that.
Yeah.
And what's the other thing you want? Do you want to run down like the purchasing of this stuff?
Yeah, although I don't really think if it's just looking at who's purchased something, that is not my area of expertise, unless I sort of whoever owns the set of storage lockers, I could attempt to do some.
I could do some cop talk.
Or intimidation.
If you want to be hard ass about it, yeah.
Yeah. My interpretation of cop talk is dealing with cops.
It's dealing with cops.
Oh,
not talking like a cop.
Or streetwise even.
Yeah.
Lots of dodgy stuff goes on in storage units.
That's actually seriously, that is very true.
Yeah. Or
that sounded too much like personal experience.
Me to sort of infiltrate the storage unit.
So the thing is that the stuff has already been sold.
Okay.
You're trying to find out.
Yeah, let's run this quick then. I will make a spend of streetwise to hit the owner of the storage locker.
So I think it's kind of a chain of things. You talk to the storage unit guy who talks about the fact that when things are left unpaid for more than a year, then they have the right to salvage it, and they auction these things off. Goes through that, and then he'll tell you who bought that unit. that'll take you to this scumbag sort of speculator who you'll talk to about this stuff, who at first thinks that you're there to buy some stuff. And then, like, when you ask about that unit, he gets real cagey. And I assume you put a little bit of a lean on him at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that couples in well with Ian Tim.
He says, look, I don't know for shit what was like I wrote the ad up as like a serial killer's thing because there's a bunch of shit in there that look like that, and a bunch of fucked up shit in there. I sold off the stuff that was antiques, the books, and then everything else, like, I bundled together. And when that cop came, like he put the heavy on me at that point, and like I didn't sell it. He made it clear that I had to give it to him, that it was part of an investigation. I didn't even get a fucking receipt for it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think that works really well with Streetwise in Tim, and now sort of, using cop talk. So the full description of the policeman, is that exactly who we think it is? Stone?
It's definitely Stone.
Definitely Stone.
About 6 months ago, when this came up, like, he clearly spotted it and bought the stuff.
Is it worth spending another point, so moving it more away from sort of Streetwise into full-on intimidation now? Those books he sold, where did yeah, I'm more than happy to spend a point if you want. I want to know about those books.
Yeah.
Or for him, whatever he gives me to really sort of confirm that that's a red herring, that I'm clearly going down a. So I will make that.
It says there were two that were like real weird. They went for a bunch. The book of Iod, they like looks at the paper. They sold that out west to a collector. There was the Zamakona papers. It was like bundled together like an old academic thing, and that went to this like cult group out in Nevada. That bought it. And then the last one was this like sort of book of poetry like thing. It like has sketch. It was just weird shit. And like I didn't care for it. It was like, wasn't like the book. It was like sketches for a book. Like and it was poetry, which or like sort of poetry. It's like bullshit writing.
Do I look like a fucker would know what?
No. He looks at this thing. It's called it was Sketches from the Invisible Path, Visions of What Lies Ahead by Martin Belgrave.
I will take all this information and I'll say to him, you better hope, fucker, that this is all legit. If not, clearly you
didn't. Wait, what do you mean legit? Legit. I sold that shit legit, and I gave that other stuff to the cops. I didn't raise a hassle. I didn't go like come back and say, because the bids on that shit were up there for the stuff, because people collect that bullshit, like a gurney, plastic, wash down shit.
Oh yeah, mate. There's psychos in all that kind of shit. I know where you're coming from, dude.
Oh yeah.
I truly do. Okay, I believe what you're saying. If you're spinning me a yarn here, fucker, I'm going to come back, and the fuckers I come back with, you ain't going to like.
No. Understood.
Okay, I believe you, dude. You strike me as a nice individual here. You just wanted to make a fast buck, and I get that. I understand. This is America.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, if I find out some shit and it's linked back to you, I'm coming back with some heavy dudes. That's for sure.
Okay.
Okay, sweet.
Let's swing back to Susan. between meeting with Wiley and after work, what are you looking into in that meantime?
I think we have only really left Petkovic. So I would like to look into her. There's some talk about a Czech community that she
Yeah.
was part of.
Yeah.
Do they have a community center or like a bar or restaurant where they meet?
There's it's a neighborhood. There's probably some people around. I mean, you can go to the building that she lived in.
Yeah, I got a little bit door to door, asked the neighbors about her, especially if they, maybe check themselves, get a feel for what kind of person she was. We know that she's an actress, dancer.
Yeah. This is you talking to an older woman now. Clearly someone who disapproves of her, but who also like knows everything that goes on in the building.
Perfect.
And she says actress dancer, like she does that she and her friends, they did anything, out clubbing, and then they'd go do modeling. What does that mean?
It's not even an occupation.
Yeah, dancing at a club. It's sad what happened to her, but that's what happens to those people.
Very
and
often
you can tell she's meaning something else here.
Prostitution.
Do you want to make a questioning or a reassurance spend?
I do reassurance again. Okay.
She didn't like the boys.
So she had female customers?
No. The customers that didn't like, I know she did that stuff, but like she was a big romantic and she fell in love with girls and she, that sort of thing.
She had a girlfriend?
She said that I don't want to say girlfriend. The one I know that she was hung up on was LASIK.
That name doesn't ring a bell, but I can't.
That should be the last of the 5 searches of the people searches. Vanessa LASIK. Yeah.
And
she's strange.
What makes her strange?
She used to play basketball for the local team. Not very feminine. She's got a weird vibe off of her. Petrovic, Jelena, she was crazy for Vanessa.
All right. Did Petkovic talk about, I don't know, her dreams maybe? I mean, that sounds really strange, but as neighbors,
she
maybe
goes,
you heard something.
She goes, no, but she did mention once that LASIK had the nightmares, like a lot.
Out of character question, that Vanessa LASIK came up earlier.
So the searches that were done on the computer, make sure, were Alex Salinas, Joel Robles, Vanessa LASIK, and then Wiley.
I didn't write it down. All right. So you were a great help to us. I want to thank you. And well, you did America good. Did a good thing for the country that she's Czech.
Yeah. She will nod, and you can head out.
Cool.
Doctor. So he walks you through the real surface stuff here. We're working with monitoring sleep states and working with that, and working on deep REM consciousness. A lot of our patients have various sleep disorders, nightmares, disturbances, things like that. So we're working with a combination of some pharmaceuticals to aid them in that, and then working with them doing the sleep, and then having them talk with the therapist about what they see, and working through those images and that kind of thing.
And
you can tell he's not giving you the full story.
Of course. And I think it's time to come clean with him. I need to be honest with you, Dr. Whalen. I'm here under false pretenses. You've looked me up. It's very flattering. And you know that professionally, my history has not been in this area at all.
That was a question that I had.
Exactly, and that's why I wanted to come clean with you. I dropped the CDC name really simply to get a meeting with you, because I think that some of this work the CDC doesn't spend enough time on. Okay, we have a different kind of infectious disease sweeping through this country, and it's around the kind of stuff you're looking at. And what I need is to get some people on side so I can begin to interest the CDC in a different kind of infectious disease spread.
What? I'm sorry. I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm hoping that this throws him off balance slightly, and might allow me to get a sense of is he genuine, in the sense of is he someone who really is interested in doing some good here, or is he malign?
What do you feel is the investigative skill or spend that is appropriate to doing that kind of read?
I think that it's fringe, because I'm going to start dropping all kinds of fringe stuff on him. That what I'm looking for
Let's have you
is,
make
does
that.
he begin to think?
Let's have you make that spend.
That I am either a fellow traveler, or he's honest and I'm bonkers.
You can tell that he has the most edge case like knowledge of some of the, like, he doesn't react to that and say you're crazy or anything like that. That, like, he says, I've seen some weird stuff. I can show you something that you may not believe. And it's part of what we do here. I wish I could show you more, but we had a catastrophic failure in the system a few days ago, and we haven't been able to do this, but I can show you some recordings.
that is what I would love to see, Dr. Braylon, because it does seem to me that it is at the edge of science that we can make the most progress.
And he takes you into a room where there are some monitors, and he sits you down, and he dims the lights, and it's just you and him in this room.
I think that's probably when I sense trouble.
Let's have you roll sense trouble.
I will spend all 2 of sense trouble. And that gets me 4 + 2 is 6.
Now, he doesn't mean you any harm, but he will pull up on the computer, and you see he's got like a mixing board, you know, if you do a video mixing board, and he will pull up, and he clearly goes in and pulls up a file, and it is this grainy moving image, like kind of, it's not particularly like, it's almost pixel, but just like low resolution, or maybe on like, it's sort of kind of black and white, and the camera moves, and there are a pair of figures that come close at the edge of this, and they're just shapes, and they move past, and you keep moving on, and there is this door that opens up, and it kind of moves out, and you see this landscape, and these mountains, and then the camera falls, like it starts to fall, and that's where it cuts out. And he says, let me show you this. And he pulls it up, and he plays it again. And it's a little bit different. Like, it's a little bit, like the shapes are a little bit different, the pathways a little bit different, the forms, the mountains, but it's pretty much the same thing. He says, these are visualizations of dreams from 2 different people with the exact same dream imagery. He says, we have made a breakthrough in neurocommunication using a combination of those psychoactives and a number of other proprietary things. We can monitor and record people's dreams. And a lot of it is great because we're able to help people work through the imagery that they see in their dreams.
This is the obvious advantage.
Yeah,
You no longer
that's the
have to
thing.
Tease out what's at the root. You
Exactly.
go to source.
And normally that's the therapeutic side that we do. But I've also found in a couple of cases where people have the exact same dream. That's the weird shit that we're trying to figure out. But the problem is the network, like we had it, essentially the whole mainframe went down. We've got to start from scratch again.
I mean, but this is fascinating stuff. And could I meet some of the subjects? I mean, you have to see, Dr. Braylon, that if I'm going to go back to Atlanta and say I found the answer to the problem,
I need to talk to the staff and to other people before I can do that. But yeah, like he says, if you come back maybe tomorrow or the next day, I can have you talk with some people.
I would very much value that, because I don't know if you dig far enough back in that bio. I started out in psychiatry.
Oh. And he will nod. He's clearly maybe a little relieved to like be able to tell somebody else about some of this stuff. And he will lead you out. Agent Oliver, let's return to you.
I'm gonna hook up with Jim,
Okay.
and I'm gonna. That son of a bitch. You know, he told me. He pretty much fucking told me that he put that fucker in the ground, and he didn't tell me that he bought their shit. That just slipped his mind.
Do we need to pay him a visit?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we need to pay him a visit, and I think we need to pay him a visit not at the station.
Okay. Just link back to what I said earlier. Let's just be wary of the cold-blooded shit.
Look,
if it needs to happen, it needs to happen.
He's a cop.
But it costs.
He's a cop who killed someone and put them in the ground and covered it up, okay?
That's fucked up shit.
Yeah.
It could be a brother he's putting in the ground next.
So let's
But
assume
we know it. We've got it over him. So we'll do that.
You maneuver things to get him off station.
I mean, when he's off shift, go to his house. I'd like to do that, really,
Okay.
to be honest. Yeah.
So it's late afternoon. You head over there. Actually, when you get there, you see him heading out to his car, like kind of in a rush when you show up. And he'll stop.
And all smiles. Gina will be
And
like,
he comes over to you fast, and he does this. He puts a finger fucking in your front chest, hit you in the sternum, and he says, "You motherfuckers. I swear to God, you motherfuckers. You stay away from her. You stay away from Wiley. She's been through enough shit. He was going to kill her. He was going to kill her." And that's where we're stopping for today.
I was going to throat punch him.
We'll get to that next time.
yeah. Nice.
Don't forget your in-between session refresh. I don't know if we didn't stop to talk about that, but you can always, in between sessions, you can refresh either one from a pool of pushes, or you can refresh 3 points worth of general. So,
and should we have done that at the start of this?
You do that at the start of the session today. If you haven't done that, you should make sure you do that, and we'll check in again at the start of next session.
Cool.
I have done it.
Good. Awesome.
I can never remember if I've done it.
That's why I always try and do it at the end of the session.
Yeah, I'm going to do it as well.
You're right. Next one, it's like, did I do it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I would like to do a quick stars wishes going around to follow up on this. I know I left, there are some investigation threads hanging, but it felt like that was a good line to close on, so I wanted to do that. Alan, can I start with you? Stars wishes?
Oh, stars. I love the way that this built real, just fabulous pacing. So, this nudges us in that direction. We discover a little bit about the relationship. It's multiple murderers. There is a relationship between the carved and the burned. I love the change, Susan pushing far enough to get the kind of boom down. That was gorgeous. And Paul, I just love the fact that if push comes to shove, you will threaten to hit somebody in order to get the information. So no, that was just delightful. I thought that was a lovely ensemble.
Anything wishes wise?
No.
Okay.
Just I don't want to wish for something because I don't want to know what to expect.
Fair enough. Will?
Yeah, likewise. I'm loving the investigation and all of the different aspects and the ties come together and the possibilities. And when Jim found out it was Stone who'd bought the storage unit, I was like, well, maybe we're going to have to break into his house in the middle of the night and see if he's got anything occult there. But yeah, just so many possibilities are opened up when you're like, who the fuck can we trust here? I like that paranoia. Because I had him down as a potential friendly, but who knows where it's going to go now. Wishes wise, I guess, I suppose I'd like some opportunities for us to use some of our general skills in perhaps scenes that are not combat scenes per se.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't want to try to, you know, that's not to say that I'm not loving the investigate. You know what I mean, though. It's
No,
just,
but yeah, having a chance to apply some of those. It was like the thing I thought about today when Susan was doing the laptop. If it, I probably should have had it damaged to get a chance to do the computer thing there, just to exploit that skill. But that worked pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'll have to keep an eye out for that, especially once you start dealing with the adversaries that you have out in the world here. Paul.
Yeah, terrific pace and Lowell. There was a lot of spread out characters today, so I do understand that I'm really conscious about using people's time. But yeah, you really paced it well. I think, you know, as we're closing down one sort of lead, you always spring another couple on, but it never gets overwhelming. I've never felt, oh, fuck me, there's 30 things to investigate. This has gone too far, you know, so I really like the pace and some good role playing out of everybody tonight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I really enjoyed that out of all the characters, you know, and the players. Really good. I quite liked the use of chat to mimic texting between.
Yeah.
I know it wouldn't show up on a video, but maybe in the Gauntlet, we've got good tech. That's maybe a sort of an area that maybe could be explored. I know I use it just for general sort of shit chat, but I did suddenly sort of see that scene where I thought that could really work quite well.
If we had some
hard
kind
to
of,
integrate. I don't know.
Yeah, like some kind of signal to like a letter or a symbol to say, this is text for my character to everybody. I think that's worth doing.
I think it would really help with that, you know, because we are playing a modern game. How do you get information to other characters that are a bit of a distance away while keeping it real? And I sort of see the point of the chat to be used as a text channel. I quite like that. Yeah, just really good. Going forwards, yeah, I wouldn't mind a Bruce Lee sort of bullshit Mr. Handman, I'm too busy looking good kind of scene. That would always be nice.
I will keep that in mind.
If I can take my top off and sort of look kind of fucking awesome,
Absolutely.
that would be even better.
And Horst?
Yeah, I love the session. My stars go to you, Lowell, for dropping a scenario from the Dream Syndicate. I spotted that. And the other star, yeah, I know, cryptic, but you know, that's why we're nerds, man. And the other star goes to Paul for, you know, instigating some kind of like human interaction with both Jean and Susan. That was really just good player skill in spotting that you can, you know, explore these relationships without, you know, like a half an hour scene. It was really good.
Awesome. Anything wishes wise?
No. I want Martin Belgrave to be possessed by the Yellow Kim, but that's just me.
There are other things going on there, but I get where you're coming from. I will say one of the things I am doing, I have read Labyrinth, and I know some of you have, and I'm deliberately peppering it in, but it is not what's in there, just to hopefully mess with your expectations and lead you down a rabbit hole. So thank you all so much. I had a really good time. Like
just thought of another star for you. Tomes to Nevada. that has to be a charity that is working overtime in this series. Sorry, I'd forgotten about that.
Nice. All right, thank you all so much. I'm going to stop the recording.